It is my professional opinion that now is the time to go panic.
That's right, Giant fans. It may not be the time to panic just yet, but you know what? We got to be heading down that pike a little bit, like the Jersey Turnpike, getting off at 16W, going into the stadium. Oh, we got a little bit of a scare with the Tyrod Taylor going down hard with the potential back injury. He was doubtful, or I should say he was questionable to come back. We hope it's just a precautionary measure, that it isn't anything too serious. But if you watch the play, and you know what's funny? After you saw him release the ball, you kind of had a gasp. Because Clemens had him, and you figured, oh, he's probably going to. I didn't think it was not a dirty play. It was not an illegal play. The turf did not cause the injury. It's just the weight of a very large man falling on top of a much smaller man can cause issues to happen, can cause injuries to happen. It's just one of those things we need to keep an eye on. Listen, Davis Webb is a great story. 30 of 38, 202, averaged 5.3 yards. That's not great. And one touchdown. Great comeback wins the first two preseason games. Great story. Not an NFL second string quarterback. Sorry. Is he better than what we had last year? Yes. But that's not saying much. A tuna sandwich is better than what we had last year. So we need to we got to keep an eye on the Tyrod Taylor situation. I thought it was funny. I saw a couple things on Twitter where people were like, who would have thunk that it would be Tyrod Taylor that went out before Daniel Jones? Not me. Not me. But we got to keep our fingers crossed with Tyrod. I mean, it is what it is. We gotta wait. It's a wait and see thing. We're really gonna know more tomorrow. It's gonna be about how he feels when he wakes up, unless there's something that the MRI or the X-ray shows tonight. But it's really gonna be how he feels the next day. Anyone that knows anything about back injuries will tell you that. Interesting game to watch, fun game to watch. Not a great game to watch, but a fun game to watch from all perspectives, the Giant fans. And, you know, I kind of wanted to talk about of course, we're cutting down Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's some guys on the bubbles, and there were some interesting things that I saw that I was like, well, maybe some of these guys have already made the roster. Maybe the thought process is in with that. If I'm looking at the running backs, you gotta figure Corbin has made this team. 6 carries, 23 for 3.8 and a touchdown, the longest one from 11 yards. But he also catches the ball out of the backfield. He also returns kicks and punts, and he plays special teams. So I still think Matt Breida's going to make the team. And I think you're probably going to have to be then looking at, if you're probably going to carry Saquon, Matt, Corbin, and Brightwell. I think Antonio Williams with his fumble did not help himself today. He also does not play as special teams as well as Gary Brightwell does. So, and this is plastic coverage is not making the team. But I do think those, if you're looking at it right now, outside of injuries, I think those are your 4 guys that are going to make this team. The other interesting position is going to be wide receiver. David Sills barely played in the first half, which kind of leads me to believe he's probably made the rooster. I'm thinking that because of the fact that, like I said, he only played in the first half. I'm not. He had 1 catch for 1 yard. You could talk about the symbiotic relationship between Daniel Jones and David Sills. It doesn't transition well when you start playing against starters. I don't want to break the news to anyone, but if you watch David Sills play in the first quarter, he had a hard time against the Jets secondary, which they were the starters. And I'm not saying they have the best. I'm not telling you this, that the Jets have the best secondary in the world, that they should be world beaters against the Giants. But David Sills, hopefully as a professional wide receiver going into year 3 or 4 that we've been waiting for him, at some point in time should have stepped up and made some plays. I'm just saying, but you figure he's going to make the team. You also have to. I still think Darius Slayton is going to be on this roster. I think you also have to open up a spot for Alex Bachman. While he did not have a great game receiving wise, he had 6 catches for 27 to 4.5. A 10 was his longest, and 6 total targets. He plays special teams, and he actually plays special teams well. He was not in on a ton of tackles in special teams, but I will tell you this: if you watch that game, he is all over the field. He may not be in the play, but he is always around the play. So you figure you have to make room for him as well. So you figure you're gonna keep Slayton, you're gonna keep Kenny, you got Kadarius. You're gonna keep Slayton, Kenny, Kadarius, Wandell, and then you figure you're gonna have Sills, and I would figure Bachman. And honestly, you may carry C.J. Board over one of those guys, or you may carry 7 because C.J. Board can return kicks, and he is a professional wide receiver. So, I mean, I think, there's some guys on the bowl that look good. I mean, Richie James did not help himself at all today. And, we have to wait and see. And can you really have 2 5'8" guys on your roster in regards to Richie James and Wan'Dale Robinson? And we have no connection with Richie James, and he's been in the league for 5 years. So that's going to be an interesting cut down day as well. Austin Calitro, who has bounced around the league, he's been with like 4 teams in 5 years. He's got some starts under his belt, but he played well today. He was another guy that was all over the field. He had the 1 tackle for a loss. He had the big interception for a touchdown, which was thrown right to him. And that was a single pass defense for 5 tackles. He may have played himself onto the roster as well. You got Yusef Corker, who looked good in the safety position, but again, he's playing against the Home Depoters. So, but you got to figure he's going to make the team, might potentially make the team. Well, honestly, it's going to be a battle between him and Trent Thompson. So that's gonna be Khalil Dorsey, man. Khalil Dorsey's got to be gone. I said that was a really bad pass interference penalty when he's running up the back of the wide receiver. Griffin, I figure, you need to now be extremely concerned about the secondary. Dorsey looks like he's trash. Griffin should be gone as well. Cordell Flott, man. Cordell Flott just does not get it. And that's a little scary thing watching him play and watching him in some of these plays. He just does not get it yet. And yes, I understand he's a rookie 3rd round pick. Could have had Malik Willis. But if you watch him and you watch him out on coverage and you watch him on a man-to-man basis, which we got to really see today, he's just not there. It would be to take it. You're probably going to keep him unless they're going to stuff him away on the injured reserve or something. But because he had some, I have some deep tissue damage in my back, or in my neck, or wherever else you can have deep tissue damage. He's just not ready. And the showing against the Jets, and the Jets wide receivers were, you're not looking at John Taylor and Jerry Rice. But he's just another guy. And I'm still concerned about Aaron Robinson as well now. And if you take a look at the middle of this lineup in reference to the defensive line, I think you got to be concerned a little bit again about being gashed up the middle a bunch of times. The Giants looked like they held the outside edge fairly well, but they were gashed up the middle a couple times. And I think if the Jets if this was a regular season game and this was another team or maybe even the Jets, they probably would attack the middle of the line a little bit more. But considering you're trying to work on a bunch of stuff because you don't have the opportunity to work on these things during training camp because you're limited by the amount of padded practices, you do different things. But it's just not good. Honestly, it's just not good. It was the middle of that defensive line was not good. If you take a look at the linebackers, Carter Coughlin looked like he had some good skills in coverage, which I was kind of surprised about. He only had 1 tackle today, but he's another guy that's going to be definitely on the bubble to make this roster. The funny thing is, you saw O'Shane's. Can you see? You saw O'Shane Zimenez be more active than I've seen him in a couple of years. So he's another guy you got to kind of keep an eye out on. You got to keep an eye out for. But I'm going to say, and the tight ends. If you want to take a look at the tight ends as well, I was very impressed by Austin Allen. He had the nice touchdown catch. Daniel Bellinger, I think he's going to morph into a Kevin Boss type situation. So, but like I said, we still got some talent in the tight end room. I'm not overly worried about that. Tanner Hudson also got into the mix. But like I said, if you want to go with Bellinger, Austin Allen and maybe Tanner Hudson, not the greatest tight end room in the world, but like I said, they're not going to be world beaters. But you know what? There's some talent there. Said it before, guys. The roster is pretty bare. The roster has some talent, but when you see the Jets' 3rd and 4th teamers at the end going up against our 3rd and 4th teamers, and there was a subtle difference at times in certain positional battles. You got to keep it. You got to take everything with a grain of salt and just look at it for what it is. I said it before. If you watched any of the Tennessee Titan games, the Tennessee Titans are very susceptible to the pass rush up the middle. Their line is terrible. Their offensive line is god awful. the last three, unless something changes like that, unless they fix what happened in the last three preseason games, Tennessee Titans, the Giants' defensive front could have an opportunity if they're healthy enough to mount an attack against that line. I'm not saying the Giants are going to win the game, but like I said, if that line is as bad as it looks, Ryan Tannehill does not have the wheels of Malik Willis. So that's something to think about. But, we got to get down to the final cut down, which is going to be on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You probably see some cuts. And like I said before, if you are on this Giant roster and you make the 53-man, if your guy 45 to 53, I would not relax, because more likely you are going to be moved on from him, and you're going to be moved on to the practice squad, because we need to infuse a little bit more talent in the secondary and a few other positional battles. We're going to have a lot of fun videos coming up on Monday, doing a lot of fun things. We'll probably throw in a live stream again around there somewhere. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue. We'll bring you the best in here at Giant Sports Talk Entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you subscribe, if you ring that bell, you know what it means, that'd be awesome.